The Philippine village nestled between the Emerald Mountains and the Sapphire Sea. Palm trees swayed rhythmically in the gentle night breeze, their fronds whispering secrets to the moon. The ocean shimmered beneath the lunar glow, a vast expanse of tranquility stretching towards the horizon. The air hung heavy with the scent of salt water and the distant aroma of cooking fires, a comforting blend that usually lulled the villagers into a peaceful slumber. Fishing boats bobbed gently in the shallows, their silhouettes dark against the moonlit water. The rhythmic lapping of waves against the shore created a soothing melody, a constant reminder of the sea's presence. The village houses, clustered together for comfort and protection, stood silent and still, their inhabitants tucked away within. The only other sounds were the chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves, a symphony of nature's nocturnal chorus. Above, the full moon reigned supreme, casting a silvery net across the ocean's surface. Its light illuminated the path for nocturnal fishermen, guiding them towards their livelihood. The moon, a celestial beacon in the velvety sky, held a special significance for the villagers, a symbol of both hope and fear. It was a source of light in the darkness, but also a reminder of the ancient legends that haunted their dreams. The village, seemingly serene under the moon's watchful eye, held a secret fear within its heart. A fear whispered from generation to generation, passed down through hushed tones and fearful glances. It was a fear of the Bakunawa, a monstrous serpent dragon said to dwell in the deepest trenches of the ocean. Its hunger fixated on the celestial body that illuminated their nights. The fear of the Bakunawa was woven into the very fabric of the village, a chilling undercurrent beneath the surface of their seemingly tranquil lives. The elders of the village, their faces etched with the wisdom of ages, often spoke of the Bakunawa. They told tales of its immense size, its scales shimmering like 1,000 moons, and its gaping maw filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. These stories, passed down through generations, served as a cautionary reminder of the dangers lurking beneath the ocean's surface. They spoke of nights when the moon seemed to shrink and disappear, swallowed by the monstrous serpent in its insatiable hunger. The Bakunawa, they said, was the reason for the eclipses, a celestial phenomenon that instilled fear and awe in the hearts of the villagers. When the moon began to disappear, swallowed bit by the unseen monster, the villagers would rush out of their homes, banging pots and pans, creating a cacophony of noise to scare away the beast. They would pray to their gods, their voices rising in a desperate chorus, pleading for the moon's return. The tales recounted how the Bakunawa, angered by the noise, would thrash and churn in the ocean, creating monstrous waves that threatened to engulf the village. The elders spoke of times when the beast had come close to succeeding, when the moon had almost disappeared completely, plunging the world into darkness. These stories served as a constant reminder of the Bakunawa's power, a testament to the creature's terrifying might. These tales were more than just stories, they were a part of the village's identity, a cultural inheritance that bound them together in shared fear and respect. They were a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the unknown, a balance that could be easily shattered by the whims of a monstrous being. The tales of the Bakunawa were a constant whisper in the wind, a chilling reminder of the power of the deep. Joaquin, a young fisherman with a strong build and a skeptical mind, scoffed at the tales of the Bakunawa. He believed in the tangible, the things he could see and touch, the bounty of the sea that filled his nets. He saw the moon's phases as natural occurrences, the ebb and flow of the tides as predictable rhythms. The stories of a moon-eating serpent were, to him, nothing more than fanciful tales meant to frighten children. He would often sit with the other fishermen, mending his nets and listening to their hushed whispers about the Bakunawa. He would roll his eyes and shake his head, dismissing their fears as superstitious nonsense. He believed in his own strength and skill, in the predictable nature of the sea. He saw no need for fear, no reason to believe in monsters lurking in the depths. The moon disappears because it's supposed to, he would say, his voice laced with a hint of mockery. It's just a part of nature, not some monster's dinner. He would point to the full moon shining brightly in the sky and laugh. "Does that look like something that could be eaten?" He challenged them, his skepticism evident in his tone. His confidence stemmed from his years at sea, his intimate knowledge of the ocean's currents and its creatures. He had braved storms and navigated treacherous waters and had never encountered anything remotely resembling the monstrous Bakunawa. His experiences solidified his disbelief, reinforcing his conviction that the tales were nothing more than folklore, a product of overactive imaginations. One night under a full moon that bathed the ocean in an ethereal glow, Joaquin decided to venture further out to sea than he ever had before. The waters were unusually calm, the surface like a sheet of glass reflecting the moon's brilliance. The air was still, and the only sound was the gentle lapping of waves against his boat. He was driven by a desire to prove his bravery, to show the other fishermen that their fears were unfounded. He rowed steadily, his oars dipping into the water with rhythmic precision. The moon, his only companion in the vast expanse of the sea, cast long shadows that danced and shimmered on the water's surface. As he rowed further and further from the shore, the village lights began to fade, replaced by the infinite darkness of the open ocean. A sense of solitude enveloped him, a feeling of being utterly alone under the vast, star-studded sky. The ocean, usually teeming with life, seemed strangely quiet. The familiar sounds of splashing fish and the cries of seabirds were absent, replaced by an unnerving silence. The calmness, which had initially seemed inviting, now felt ominous, a prelude to something unknown. The further he ventured, the more intense the silence became, pressing in on him like a physical force. As he glanced back towards the shore, the village lights had dwindled to mere pinpricks in the distance. He was surrounded by darkness, the vastness of the ocean stretching out in every direction. The moon high above seemed to watch him with an indifferent gaze, a silent witness to his solitary voyage into the unknown. He felt a flicker of unease, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't quite explain. The ocean, once a familiar friend, now felt like a vast, unknowable entity. The water beneath his boat began to darken, the moon's reflection fading as if swallowed by the depths. Joaquin felt a chill run down his spine, a primal fear stirring within him. He looked down into the inky blackness, trying to penetrate the secrets hidden beneath the surface. The depths seemed to stare back at him, an abyss of unknown terrors. A large shadow, indistinct yet undeniably massive, moved beneath his boat. It shifted and rippled, an amorphous darkness that seemed to stretch for miles. Joaquin's heart pounded in his chest, his breath catching in his throat. He gripped his oars tighter, his knuckles whitening. The shadow grew larger, closer, its form slowly becoming discernible in the murky depths. The water around the boat began to swirl, creating a vortex that pulled his boat towards the center. Joaquin struggled against the current, his oars straining against the force that threatened to drag him down. He felt a sense of dread wash over him, a realization that he had ventured too far, that he had crossed a threshold into a realm he was not meant to enter. As the shadow drew closer, the water around it began to glow with an eerie luminescence. The light revealed scales, vast and shimmering, reflecting the moonlight in an otherworldly display. Joaquin's eyes widened in terror as the shadow finally revealed its true form, the Bakunawa, the mythical serpent dragon of the elders' tales. The Bakunawa, a colossal serpent with scales that shimmered like 1,000 moons, rose from the depths. Its massive head, adorned with horns that resembled coral branches, emerged from the water, its eyes glowing with an ancient malevolence. Its mouth, a cavernous abyss filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth, opened in a silent roar, revealing the monstrous hunger that dwelled within. Joaquin stared in disbelief, his skepticism shattered by the undeniable reality before him. The creature's immense size dwarfed Joaquin's small fishing boat, making him feel insignificant, a mere insect in the presence of a god. The serpent's body, coiled and powerful, stretched as far as the eye could see, its movements creating ripples that rocked Joaquin's boat violently. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, a palpable sense of the creature's immense power. The Bakunawa's gaze fixed on Joaquin. its glowing eyes piercing through his very soul. Joaquin felt paralyzed by fear, unable to move, unable to breathe. The serpent's presence was overwhelming, a force of nature that defied comprehension. It was a creature of myth and legend, a being from a realm beyond human understanding, and it was now staring directly at him. The serpent opened its maw wider, revealing the sheer immensity of its throat, a dark abyss that seemed to lead to another dimension. Joaquin knew with a certainty that chilled him to the bone that this was the end. The stories of the elders, the tales he had so readily dismissed, were now his reality. He was facing the Bakunawa, the Moon Eater, and his skepticism had led him to his doom. Terror gave way to a desperate plea for salvation. Joaquin, the skeptic, found himself praying. He prayed to the gods he had so often ignored, the deities his village revered. He pleaded for mercy, for a chance to return to the shore, to the life he had taken for granted. His words tumbled out in a frantic rush, a desperate plea lost to the wind and the waves. His voice, usually strong and confident, was now a trembling whisper, barely audible above the lapping of waves against his boat. He closed his eyes, picturing the faces of his family, the warmth of his village, the familiar comfort of his home. He regretted his arrogance, his mockery of the elders' tales. He now understood the power of the unknown, the respect it demanded. But his prayers seemed to fall on deaf ears. The Bakunawa, indifferent to his pleas, continued its ascent, its massive form casting a long, ominous shadow over Joaquin's boat. The creature's presence filled the air, a suffocating weight that pressed down on him. The ocean around him seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the inevitable. The Bakunawa's head descended towards him, its gaping maw blocking out the moon, plunging him into darkness. The serpent's breath washed over him, a fetid stench that spoke of ancient power and unimaginable hunger. He knew in his final moments that his disbelief had been his undoing. His last thought was a regret, a wish he had heeded the whispers of his ancestors, the wisdom passed down through generations.